Hello everybody, today we're watching the Corona Chess World Team Battle. And there's 2 minutes to go. Okay. Let's go through the top lists again. We have the Nachi joining us today. And then Shashtir, who a lot of people speculating, I think this is Roberto de Abreu. And then Freddy F5, Freddy Woodendal, Kenny 1904, Kenny Willenberg, Paradox 1982, Warwick Erlang, Louis Havenga. Oh, sorry, this is Roberto. So I'm not sure who Schwarstier is. This has always been a mystery to me, because this is definitely Roberto. Craig Willenberg, and Anatoly Karporn. What's got the name somewhere? And Cool's the MC, I think, is Tondor or someone. Okay. And a minute there. Okay. Yeah. Just testing the sound. Okay, everything seems to be working. The Nachi should be taking this tournament home easily. We see him with a huge rating over 25-28, which is a very nice rating for him, just generally. Consider anything above 2500 to be very solid. That just doesn't happen too often in Blitz. So, Matt Pon. Let's start off by watching one of his games. He'll get the pairing now, I'm guessing. And he's playing against Kenny Willenberg, game 1. 2 hours of the tournament over there. We've got 1 e4. Is Kenny going to make a first move? Let's see if I can add the tournament time. And Kenny's not making a move. I think he is online. It's just... Kenny did not move. Maybe he just doesn't want to play Matt today. So what else is happening in the tournament? Matt already getting that first win. Freddy, some other Freddy, not Freddy Udendal, also for Joburg Metro, also with the win in the house. And Enachi's now just waiting for a pairing. And there we go. Seeing another French very quickly. Knight c3. And we've been seeing the French a lot from Matt. We'll expect a c5 break, f6, maybe even just f6 immediately. He might play bishop e7. Oh no, queen h5. And today's 5+2, which is slightly different to 5+3. This feels more like Blitz than rapid. 5+3 really feels like a slow, rapid game. Okay, and tactically Matt is very good, but there wasn't anything there at the moment. The knight was just defending the bishop. And Matt has got these centralized pawns. He'll take this pawn if the knight moves, but it shouldn't just move away. Mr. Abdu. I wonder if he was the Western Cape's highest rated in the start. It can't be. No, this is now second game. Kenny Willenberg started out as the Western Cape's highest rated. Queen retreats back from h5. Avoiding any tactics with the bishop over there. And after this trade, black is to be preferred because this pawn is suddenly weak. Already 2 pieces looking at the pawn. And king safety will happen. I'm not too sure what h6 was about. I don't really fear a piece landing on the square, but maybe he's keeping his options open, saying, okay, I'm just going to wait before I commit my king anywhere. My king is still safe in the center, but I'm expecting a kingside castle now. Queenside, I don't know. Maybe, depending on how confident Matt Pond feels. Okay, so he's not castling just yet, keeping his options open. I was actually thinking he wouldn't castle and trying to find the move that would better his position just for the time being. And getting the knight to f5 now wins a pawn. Don't know how this rook will come back or guard this square. So this could be a pawn. I wonder what's wrong with it completely. Rook goes back, knight takes, and rook there. Knight goes back again. Maybe he just doesn't like the activity of the queen on this square. Maybe one of the lines he's looking at is knight here, rook falls back there, and then something like queen here to prevent black from castling. In any case, Matt has gone for this. He's just playing very carefully. Abdu not throwing his rook all the way back to the first rank. Might feel that it achieves something after doubling. Wow. Matt feels very confident. He says he can work with a c-file. Not winning a pawn, just trading down queens. And there we see, starting to play with a c-file. And stuff like this is already... can get rid of the knight. And Matt just didn't castle. It's quicker to get... it's better to have the king around over here. And this was his plan, just to double rooks. Play against the weakness of the c-file. And this is something you notice when you watch a lot of strong players playing blitz. Going for something too complicated isn't always the best. Keep matters simple. Create a weakness and try and create a second weakness without harming your own position at all. And that a pawn is running up the board. Now g6, preventing f5 before commencing with his plan, maybe of just bringing this rook to this side of the board. And this is actually the queen side is where the game is at. Matt's king and these pawns, they won't get punished. Still not sure if a break like this is being prepped or why this move is necessary. I thought Matt might just go rook a8 immediately, try and get the rook to the second. This should be very annoying for white, but still holdable. Now the knights are useless. Usually your light squared bishop is your worst piece in a French type structure. Okay. E takes. This doesn't do anything. He might just even plant his bishop on e6, pretend it's a pawn. Get the rook here. Maybe just rook here immediately. That's why rook d1. Oh no, simple tactic. Okay, this was a soft game. Abdu had no reason to blunder this. And yet again, I was saying Matt is just so quick with the tactics. He didn't do anything too risky, but he's now playing up a piece. The rook can go to a3. More pieces can be traded. c3, I mean. Abdu trying to hold on to some pieces. You don't want to trade pieces when you're down material. But Matt is playing up a piece now without having really done too much work, keeping the game simple. And he can now go bishop takes e6, after knight takes, king takes. And this is just, there's nothing to be said for white anymore. Expecting rook e4. Get rid of the defender of this pawn. Still king takes, perfectly fine. He just plays rook takes instead. This pawn is still covered. And there goes this pawn that which the knight was defending. Still nothing happening on the king side. And rook takes a2. No, just doubling rooks here, threatening mate in 2. That needs to be prevented. King f3 will just defend both these points. And white doesn't have any targets. This is simply resignable. This knight can just join the attack. Maybe there's a quicker way even. Matt says, no, let's just trade. I'm already up so much material. I can march my pawn up. I can go grab the a2 pawn. I can put this knight on e4 and attack over here. No, that's a solid plan, getting the knight to e4. Okay, defends the pawn. You could have given the pawn up, presumably. 94. There's no checks. And you're breaking through. Okay. In any case, Matt's got this game. Wow. There's a nice tactic. After the trades, there's this check. And you pick up the rook. Like so. Matt keeping the path very simple, and I'm expecting a resigner now. You can attack this pawn. The king is stuck to defending this passed pawn. He's going to attack the pawn from over here. And simply take over here and push this pawn through. Clean technique as well from Matt, playing the most forcing lines. That trade was definitely a puzzle rush trade, and I'm expecting Matt plays a lot of puzzle rush. So I don't know what Abdu is necessarily hoping for. Okay, he resigns. Okay. A Nachi is now in the lead with fire, but in Quadi, what does Joburg Metro actually in the lead? But in the beginning, the points don't rely on the full 20 players. If you guys can't, well, in the corner of the screen, you can see that it's a battle of 7 teams and 20 leaders. So the teams that really bring a full house should be better. And look at this, 34 players from the Western Cape. And Joburg Metro, only 17. So they don't even have a full team over there. So although in the beginning they're leading maybe because of Matt and... Well, who else has got 4? Roberto's got 3. Who's this? Freddy. Where's his name? That's quite trippy. Where is this guy with 4? He's supposed to... Oh, here he is. Okay, let's go back to Matt's game. He's already in another pairing. Another French on board. And Tucson Hacker. I'd be careful. This guy has got a question mark behind his rating. So, playing very typical French C3 over here. But Matt's style, playing the French, is typical. Oh, knight h6. Just hoping to open up this file for the rook. And don't castle kingside. Oh no. I got a feeling that Tucson, isn't it like a Hyundai Tucson or something? I'm pretty sure there's a car. I don't know what the origin of the word is. I'll take a sneak peek. Tucson meaning. The base of the black heel. Okay, that's cool. Okay. And I'm not liking the fact that he's castled kingside. Matt is obviously very happy with his king in the center. Now just says, this is as good as the center. I need more rooks to join the party on the king side. And starts the doubling. Rook g8 can be expected. Nothing happening over here. Weaknesses like g3 incoming. Opening up these squares. I can try and push a pawn over there. Matt says, no, let's just take an opportunity to step away with my king. How are these pawn breaks going to be working if I'm just blocking them? Meanwhile, I'll try and attack myself. Yet the worst piece in the position is still this light squared bishop. So always try and see how a French player tries to deal with the light squared bishop weakness. Here was just a simple pawn he picked up, deflecting the defender, and that's a pawn. And this should be a second pawn, and the bishop's eyes now can maybe open after d4. No, kingside attack continues. There's this sacrifice, getting 2 pawns and a minor piece. Matt doesn't want that. He'll continue playing on this side of the board. I think he's already quite comfortable. He's attacking this pawn now, and Mr. Tucson doesn't realize it. Now there's quite a lot of scope for this knight to play around with. And it'll be traded down. Rook takes, I expect. Fixing the pawn structure, is it worth a lot? Okay, he says so because it keeps the knight out, and also you're still up 2 pawns now. You can activate the bishop later. Matt playing up 2 pawns, hasn't used a lot of time. This should be an easy game as well. Not expecting anything too funny. Here we go. Starting to push. At least this is a clean passed pawn. You should start pushing it, but at the end of the day, these pawns needed to be pushed to open the eyes of this bishop. And now suddenly rooks can be traded because the bishop will be enough to navigate these pawns through. Tucson doesn't want that, but just look at these pawns rolling. The light square bishop will help these pawns even further. You could expect g6 as well, or just first the bishop f5, using this bishop, something like king a7, and then this move. Don't go b6 immediately because of this fork. I think you should still be winning, even though, yeah, getting rid of the defender of the knight. Where does this knight move to now? And you can take the pawn. The knight needs to move. You've won another pawn. This is starting to look very devastating for white. There's one open square left for the knight, but maybe rooks just simply get traded off now, or d3. Yeah, rooks get traded off. You need to trade, or else you're losing this pawn and also the bishop attacking along this diagonal. There might be some mating nets. Now you can just run these 2 pawns through. And Tucson Hacker, the game is over. King's too far away. The knight can't stop 2 pawns. He throws in the towel. Sorry, I need to go back. Enachi with 8 already. I haven't seen him berserking yet. I think with that high rating, he's a bit careful still. In quality for the Western Cape, and already the Western Cape overtaking over here. A lot of ones making up for there's still a lot of Joburg Metro players in the house, so the challenge here is pretty close. Enachi's still waiting for a game, not in a pairing. The real Frenchie, Roberto's berserked 2 games and won already. He played against Irion. We missed that game. Okay. Enachi and Chorus, we have a Scandinavian. What does the Enachi play against the Scandinavian? Knight c3 immediately. And d4. I think a lot of players playing against the Scandinavian you should take a look at how stronger players are dealing with it. But it's especially weird opening because it's not too bad, but you wouldn't play it in a classical tournament where the stakes are quite high, already giving your opponent quite a lot of initiative. But someone like Olsen has been playing it, and even against guys like Faruja and Blitz, if he feels it's fine, then I guess it is. So it's worth taking a look at. By the way, I'm looking at a weird line which started with something like Queen e6, Knight e4. Yeah, Knight e4, and the idea was actually just to concentrate the energy of the knights towards the f7 pawn. So I'm guessing Knight e4 immediately now. Okay, no trades. He might want something else. Yeah, bishop, even f4. He's got this huge center at the moment. He can just improve his pieces. Takes a stake at the center. Now the knight can remaneuver, and that will be a very annoying piece. You could actually start by putting a bishop down here if castles. Yeah, he'll play bishop first and just win the exchange. Castling there, and now you can trade and maybe put your knight here, unless you feel like it's going to be traded off. You can make another improving move, something like, yeah, Queen d2, trying to connect the rooks. b4, yeah, just keep this tension and space advantage. You don't want to trade it away, so bring another piece to the game, or another pawn. And, nice tactic. Matt says, let's go for it. There's a check back here. How bad is that? It's not bad at all, because the tactic actually gave away 2 minor pieces, I think, for rook. And Matt already won an exchange, and then somehow he's up a piece. If you do these calculations, also look at the pieces at the end. By the way, 2 pawns for this bishop. This is actually way worse than it seems for black. That bishop will just be a monster. and none of them have used time yet. I thought maybe rook c3 now, with the idea of getting rook here while the bishop was there, getting some rook activity, but this is also very fine. It will take quite a lot of work for white to lose this now, because black needs to make threats out of the remaining pawns, or else it doesn't really do much. King d6. And now he just wants to trade down rooks. These are the two extra pawns, but you're not doing anything with your c pawn and the e pawn as well. You need to move the entire pawn mass before you can do anything with it. And in the meanwhile, white has just improved his entire position by so much. Going to find now his outposts for his rook and king. This could have also been a way, just fix both king and rook to these pawns, try and get the bishop free, but now he's just weakened this pawn structure and he can slide over to the other side of the board if he needs to at any time. If black trades, he weakens and isolates another pawn. So finally black may be trying to do something with the pawn mass and the extra pawn, but a piece is a piece, and these two pawns, because they're not on the second, maybe if one of them was on the third, with the rook behind it and some kind of idea, there might have been compensation, but I feel like there's no compensation. These two pawns, okay, this is a nice move, moving past, and I'll gobble up this pawn, I'll come for this backwards pawn. Matt finding a clear way to play this, and if it's ignored I'll trade down and all your pawns are now isolated, and great targets. Actually, this one will fall immediately. Don't think they're saving the e-pawn. So he goes for it. Rook takes. Pawn takes. Now this is kind of resignable already. The king can be nudged back as well in some other situations. But we'll see. Rook takes now. There's a check. No, rook takes here as well. I don't expect him to flinch. Okay, here's a tactic. He's setting this up. So the king needs to move back. Now rook takes. And now suddenly the pawns have equalized. White's pawns are still safe and these pawns are still targets. So we will expect one of these pawns to start rolling. This pawn move is just to keep the king out. Wait, that's mate. It's not mate yet. If the rooks aren't traded, this will be mate. But I'm not sure if Matt could actually have gone for this. What's the story? A4 is the king in time. Even if it is in time, you're quite close to the side of the board. In any case, he's playing safely now. The rook needs to guard this square because of the mating net. There's maybe a chance to draw. If you could somehow get your rook here. Wait, he needs to play back with his rook. After the queen is made. There's no drawing this. It feels like the king is kind of blocked. But Matt won't... ooh. There's a checkmate in one. Taking the rook would be the draw. Matt doesn't fall for it. So that was a small little trick at the end. Only one rating point for that game. But at least it wasn't too tricky. So, how are the team standings doing? Jovic Metro already bringing their strong players today. The Sunnyside Bull. Unstained already in the house with 100% berserk rate. This guy is not playing around today. On 11 with fire. Inachi is on 12 with fire, and he's still waiting for a pairing. The real Frenchie, Roberto de Abreu, is on 11 since he's berserked a few games. And Inachi is still waiting for a game. Now here we go. He gets paired against Cools the MC. And this guy is just under 2100, but we've seen him play some cool chess. Cool's chess. And we have what looks to be like a perk. And all my money is on on Matt shuffling around his knights and placing them on the king side on the squares h2, stuff like that. Okay, h2 not anymore. immediately we saw this knight shuffle, but this position, Matt just loves. You've allowed him to start flank side attacking, and he will be very happy with this. Closing the center for the flank side attack. Actually, I don't like Matt's position that much. Dropping a pawn, that's a solid clean pawn he just dropped. And he will have to reconfigure his position a bit, but he's fine with bringing the knight to the side of the board. Ooh, another pawn. Cools the MC is awake. And actually that's a third pawn for the price of that pawn. Because it's not a third pawn. Still got the awkwardness of the queen to deal with. Matt says, give me my compensation. I am not losing this. The e-pawn is under fire as well. That's guarded. Cools the MC, still playing very quickly. With this thorn in white's position. Expecting, whoa, knight maneuvers. This knight will now come to the queen's side and try and inflict some pressure on this pawn from this side. Knight g3. Room for the knight to go to f5. That is stopped. Cools is not placing his king anywhere on the board yet. He'll have to make a plan. Actually, this is actually pretty funny. There's a huge attack on the f7 square suddenly. Black is not defending it enough. There are 3 attackers, 2 defenders, and the knight needed to move. Knight needs to be defended. I wonder if there was a way to play this. There was a way to win 2 pieces for the for rook. But I think it's not that much compensation because the king is still a bit awkward, and stuff like this might be compensation for black, or maybe Matt Pon just didn't calculate it long enough. In any case, he's just got knights on good outposts. Castles now. This seems like danger. A dangerous castle. I could take this bishop if I want to, or this pawn. And now suddenly it's white with the rooks. And while you can play rook a1 and try and mate like this, king will need to run back. Still another tempo move. Matt Pon trying to keep the initiative, and e5. Crazily enough, the Cools the MC is still playing up a pawn, but I do not like his position one bit at all. Castling over there was strange. The king feels very spacey. He might be in luck with this rook and queen just being slightly slow to get to the side. If he can find a way to get past this knight, something like f5 immediately, sack a pawn back just to get some space over here, rooks involved. This is the type of move I want to see soon, f5. Just give back a pawn. Check, your king is still safe for the time being, no mate. So f5 now or never, that's the question. Are you going to be playing f5? Rook, this feels too slow. What is this achieving? Something like this is not happening quickly. The queen might have time to fall back. Now, this queen is also slow, so it's a slow attack for a slow queen. If the queen, I don't know, a strange position. Okay, maybe this move isn't too questionable, since I'm not seeing what Matt's supposed to do here with the queen. Still a lot of time on the clock, and now this is actually a good time to be using his time. A good time to be using your time. Yeah, Matt is in a think. I was thinking queen d1. The thing is, black is also not threatening anything with rook f4. And then you need to get your queen over here somehow, so maybe even f3. c3, I mean. The rook can come down, but I think after your queen gets here, you've got ample compensation. Especially because the knight is blocking the king in. Okay, whoa, what just happened there? They both knew that this is a move to be considered. And he's just trying to play with tempo to get his queen over to this side of the board. Actually, this is a great idea. gives up the exchange for tempo against the knight. That could have been defended. Oh, well, it's going to be defended, I guess. Yeah, if you allow the queen through, I think it's tickets. So you need to defend that knight now. And meanwhile, you're actually setting up some nasty tactics yourself against this rook. So how are you adding more pressure to this knight? Is the idea rook b6, but then king c7? Or he's simply playing c3, trying to get the queen around? No. Maneuvering his knight again. And his queen is the attacking queen. This queen is the defending queen. Where to place this knight? What was this about? I agree with this move. What? Matt is playing very confidently. He just wants to attack the pawn. Giving up the attack on this side of the board. It could be that knight... No. Okay, his idea is that you're not defending this pawn without going back with your rook. But this just seems like a lot like the previous position. You can go back with the rook if you really want to. Going forwards also seems a legitimate option. Queen takes pawn, rook takes knight. Matt's idea is to trap that rook. Okay, no, but it's not trapped. You've got rook takes c2. So Will Cools, the MC, see that this rook can become even more active on the second rank. And maybe what I like about this move is it's trying to gain some kind of initiative. You might have ideas of sacking here and mating if the queen moves too quickly or too far away. This check as well, no, when the rook is gone. But I think Cool's MC is considering rook g2. Oh, there we go, my f5 move. And how does he want to defend against takes, queen takes? Now he plays here. I don't know what f5 was about then. His ideas are too deep for me. And he's getting slaughtered now. What? That's another thing f5 did. It opened the queen's eyes to c6. I have no clue what that was about. Unless he thinks he's holding this, but that is checkmate. What? Let's see if we can find a move there for Mr. Cools. It is actually his advantage here. Queen e7 must be played, knight e2, and now rook d7, okay. Rook here, queen f3, and f5. Rook takes c4. This is a game of giving up exchanges the whole time, but he blundered mate in 3. Okay, great stuff. Let's quickly go back to the tournament. A Nachi now on 16 with fire. Ruan Naid Danal, something like that. Ruan Aid Danal on 15 with fire. A lot of berserk wins over there. The real French Roberto has gotten down, and Nachi's still waiting for a game over there. Oh wait, I'm not on his TV anymore. He's in a game. Second game against Chorus so far, and another French. This time keeping the black bishop out of the pawn chain, playing a different line than the previous game. What did happen in the previous game? Mr. Chorus was the guy with the stalemate tricks. Yet again, Matt showing us that this knight will find an excellent home on the c5 square. Not sure why Mr. Chorus traded off his light squared bishop for Matt's very weak one. But Matt now already has some targets in the position, some nice squares for his pieces to go to. And queen c5 is just about making sure this structure remains as it is without this bishop annoying him too much. So I'm expecting him to castle now. He's a guy that doesn't like castling when he's black in the French, and enjoys castling as white in any position to get his knight to the king side and then start playing around with his knights. We have an in-depth analysis of all Matt Pond's ideas over here. Okay. Knight g5 is currently preventing castles, but allowing h6, which now allows castles. So, Matt didn't want to play h6 after castling, so if he had castled here, knight here, and h6 wouldn't work because of mate. So that's an idea to keep in mind. You'll need to play g6 or something, which is an awkward move to make. But after rook c8 and knight g5, now he doesn't need a castle immediately. You can kick your knight away and castle freely, now with tempo. After that move, that was a tactic. Don't take the knight because your rook will be hanging. But castles now hits the knight away. And now goes for that bishop. I don't know. Was this knight a lot better than this bishop? Maybe if the bishop came to f8. Matt didn't like the ideas of some kind of coordination on the king side. So he trades. And after taking like this, white will be losing a pawn. Or damaging his pawn structure, which is Matt's point. And now he's losing a rook. Be careful to defend pieces that can be with other pieces that can be shoved away very quickly. The knight wasn't being hit. The rook was being hit. So moving the rook away would have been fine. Now you're losing some material. And knight f5 covers all these points while attacking. The rook's given away. You can take with the king. And this should be game over. There's no attack happening over there. The king is perfectly safe. Actually, white has just helped black open up the g file as well. Rook g8 incoming. Not yet, maybe. You could maybe just play it immediately. Depending on how patient you are, you can just throw your queen back. Matt's just looking for something more aggressive, takes a pawn. Now rook g8 makes sense. Because if queen takes rook g7, and the queen moves again, then you've got queen takes check. Followed by another check. And if the queen takes this pawn, at least if the king runs away over here to this square, you'll play knight d5 check. So we're going to see this. Another check, king here, knight d5 check. Whatever, and knight takes queen. Yeah. Is there a mate yet? Is he looking for white offers draw? Looking at his queen going away, he offers a draw. Black declines. Matt's rather going for the mate. He says, give me my mate in 2, or at least my mate in 3. Check. And mate. Okay. Doesn't even need that queen. What's happening in the tournament? Roberto on fire. Still 100% berserk rate. Is showing Matt Pond that he needs to start speeding up. He needs to start berserking games himself. So we should actually be moving to Roberto's games. I think let's do that. I don't know. Okay, let's keep to his games, to Roberto's games, and we can shift back to. By the way, Nachi playing against Nigel. He's gone berserk, I think, after seeing Roberto going berserk and doing so well. This game does not look good for Roberto, so I think we'll be staying. He's done a piece and a lot of time, and his opponent's got increment and playing for the Western Cape, which is already a huge advantage because you don't feel like you need to carry the whole team yourself, as these Jobo guys feel they need to do. Setting up a mate into Roberto's sidesteps, but this isn't the game that's interesting me. I want to see what Matt Pond does in a situation where he berserks and is forced to win a game pretty quickly. Although this is a lot of time for him, he doesn't have any increment. So he went for a French type of thing in King's Gambit. Traded off that light squared bishop, even though it's slightly better in this type of position, not stuck. And I think this is the position we are at now. Still very equal. Meanwhile, Roberto's game, did he cause some kind of miracle? There was an exchange, but he's still down a lot of material. Maybe he's got some potential for an attack over here. Meanwhile, no moves have happened here. Nigel 52, still in a think. Also, a Western Cape chess player, 2 Joburg Metro players fighting for their team, have gone berserk. And 2 Western Cape 1900s both added in a normal game, playing for The Union that I think 2 weeks ago when I was commentating nearly got 1,000 points in an arena which was 5+3. So this is very similar. Mat pawn. Has he found something? A way to win a pawn? Queen needs to defend. Bishop takes, so king needs to defend. And then you're losing one of these pawns. Be careful. Mat will just simply... Oh, that's a double. That's a double. Oh, Mat's thinking now. Going for this tactic, trying to win a pawn, gets you mated. So makes a flight square before doing anything else. King will be safe on h7 after this check, so you can return for your tactic. But if you were very happy looking at that tactic as a means to quickly win a pawn, you would have been mated. And Mat there on a rating of 25-33 now finally wins the pawn, which this queen entered the position for. And he should be happy to go for a king pawn endgame now, if white suggests them to do so. I don't know how I should say that. Okay. This is a... I don't know if he'd trade down queens like this, but he needs to keep the queen active. This is also a square the queen's looking for. I think any trade of queens would be great for him. He could do something with the h-pawn, and don't know if it's winning yet, but it feels very awkward with the c3 pawn. How is your bishop coming back to defend a1? You need to move something like this, and then you'll be giving up more space. If this square was open, then that would become an outpost for the king on d5. So black to be preferred. Not sure how... oh no, that's a great move. So they will be transitioning into that endgame as we speak. Let's see, this king should be in time on this side of the board. And the question then becomes, well, wait a minute. Mat just didn't take a pawn. I guess there was a perpetual of the queen check here, king here. There's some issues. So trading queens now, and he wins that pawn at the end of the line. White playing very well. This is great. You needed to make this awkward c3 pawn very active immediately. And I'm liking Nigel's chances, at least for a draw. I don't think Mat will be losing this, unless something like d6 now is too awkward to deal with. This should be losing a pawn. I think both sides were considering it after takes. This pawn is too weak now, and it will be hunted down. c5, bishop here. Mat's picking up another pawn, c5 immediately, and this bishop will come to h2, and Mat will be taking this game. Very unfortunate there for Nigel, who really actually didn't have a bad... Oh, I don't know what that's about. Oh, I don't like that. I think maybe Nigel had potential just to hang around with his bishop, since black doesn't have anything to look at. But here he gave back. But the bishop goes here, and these pawns are hunted down, so I'm not buying what Nigel did. It's good to be thinking like that, but there's more time on the clock, so you need to... I don't think that was the best option, but maybe he's just tried a bit of luck over there, hoping that Mat pre-moved or something. But in this position, white resigns. Nigel 52 went down. What happened in the real Frenchies game? Black resigned. After this sneaky little tactic from C-side Sunset, take the pawn, skewer your rook away, and there is definitely a queen incoming. I think maybe here Roberto was hoping for a queen, and rook takes and some kind of check where you can take with your king and make a threat here and trade off one of these pawns and draw. But this really is just the cherry on top. Well done to C-side Sunset. Einachi now with that beautiful 5 points, and Roberto not on fire anymore. Does this mean that the Einachi is now warmed up through enough games and ready to berserk more games? And look at this. Western Cape now taking a more decisive lead. Sari Bartman district still in the 147, Joburg 129, and still a lot of competition between 3rd, 4th places. Einachi, is he in a pairing yet? Oh, he's been in a pairing for a while. Blitzing up moves in the Scandinavian. Yet again another knight c3. And did he blunder a pawn? He blundered a pawn. Spinello, 1600. Picking up a pawn against the player, well, I wanted to say 100 rating points higher than him, but 1,000 rating points almost. 900, or must let me be more precise, something like 896 points above him. 94. What? 96. This isn't a maths stream, luckily. Matt's still down the pawn, but running the king to e7 seems very strange. And Matt knows that the king needed to be on this square. Oh, I'm guessing it's just to defend the pawn. Matt did find some awkwardness in black's position here. Nice tempo move. It's going to be kicked away. If you really want to be stubborn, you can just continue running your king up the board. I'd like to see this line. And pawn here or something. Giving black one tempo to defend this pawn, saying it's impossible. Really would like to see this move now. It would make my day. Maybe by some thread of luck, it's a way to defend this pawn. Now there'll just be a trades, and Matt will maybe just bring the rook to the 7th immediately. Nope. Now equal material. Black can go for a knight pawn endgame. And that's the theme of this tournament. The quote under the tournament, the Lee Chess quote, is something like, I don't know who said it, but we can go check it out now. Knight pawn endgames are actually just pawn endgames, or something like that. Which is true, because you're not going to do anything with your knights. You need to do something with your pawns. Still, this is a move that just trades down rooks. Nothing more to be said. I would not like Mr. Narchi to have this rook around, and especially on top of that on the 7th. Look at this, creating threats against the king with just the pawns and the knights. I'm guessing this could be a mating idea. Get the knight to g3. Oh no, just coordinating even more. Rook needs to go to f8 to defend the pawn. And what is the nasty trick then? Feels very tactical. Maybe it's just to go after this pawn then, to change direction. By the way, black actually did quite a good job of playing a6. Okay, now the rooks are traded off, and this pawn is now covered. I'm liking how black's playing this. He's not being pushed over like the players rated 400 or 500 points higher than him. He's in a perfectly drawn endgame. I know the computer eval will probably prefer white somehow. Oh, Matt just dropped a pawn. Oopsie. Matt just dropped a pawn. Black's better? Yeah. Black's better here. This knight is, if it goes here, I don't know, I think we should just let Spinello just play the game. He's been doing well so far. Maybe Matt lets someone else play on his account now. It would be funny if one of those knights drop. The white king needs to defend. I don't know if Matt will make a draw. If you run here with your... Oh, goes down in a draw. There was no way of kicking the king away from... The king needs to go between these two squares. If king here, this knight check delivers the king away from the knight, and white will be playing down a piece. So Matt knows it loses 6 points for a draw, and we're going to see Matt go to beast mode. What? The real Frenchie has taken the lead again. Quick wins over there, 2 3-point wins. And Matt, is he still berserking? I don't know, he's taking his time here. Cools the MC's waiting for him to berserk. He might have learned his lesson. I think he's calmed down. 2 berserks was enough for him. He knows he can just keep this steady pace he's had so far in normal time controls. And while the real French is actually now our tournament leader, so we'll jump to his game. And he's playing against Esponello, this very strong 1600. And he's berserked him. The same as which Matt did. And in turn has played the Scandinavian. Reached a fairly dry position. Oh, little tactic over there. Be careful, your queen's hanging. And now there can be two sets of double pawns if black wants it. If white wants it. He just needs to be certain he can defend this weakness. Rook g8 is coming, so maybe g4 immediately. Rook here and king out of the way. Is this the idea? Knight still pinned. A lot of coordination here. Maybe this this doubling of the pawn wasn't the greatest idea. I think Robert will be very happy. King really doesn't have great squares to run away to. Even a rook sack, I don't think there's anything to do about this bishop coming to this square. And king can just move away and bring another rook to the game. A rook sack seems very nice. I think... Oh, that won't be necessary. Okay, just more pressure over here. That's a tactic we should all know, but Robert doesn't see it immediately. Bishop takes h check, and then you've gotten rid of the defender. Roberto could have been playing up a queen. He's now traded down and only up a pawn. This is not the compensation he should have had. The tactic over here was just bishop takes, h2, king takes, and queen takes. If king goes up, you can just trade down queens and play up a piece. Either way. Should be way better than what Roberto has done here. Yeah, Roberto's got this one extra pawn. With correct play, I think it should be defended. Pawn goes here, maybe you should try... rook here, maybe. Esponello had a good draw in the previous game. Actually, great game so far. Roberto, only with that one extra pawn, is not converting this game as convincingly as he could have. This is definitely winning for him. But let's see what Esponello can bring to this position that seems quite hopeless, with the king cut off on the second rank, and this king simply improving, and the pawn coming to g2 later on. There we go, king to e3. We could see something like rook here. If there's a trade, it's game over. Now rook in front, pushing the pawn. Oh, this is now game over. Okay. What? Okay. Now the pawn can simply walk all the way here. And black can resign now. What does king there do? Rook there. White resigns. Okay. Doesn't do anything. And real Frenchie yet again in the lead. 5 points over there. Matt did take the win from Cool's MC. What? He lost against Loaz. What? In the previous game. No, I don't know what happened there. Wait. Black left the game. In an exchange, French. I'll remember to play that against Matt Pon. Especially if it means he instantly resigns. Is that it? Does he play an hour of the tournament? Is that a new policy or something? In any case, Seaside Sunset has taken down Roberto earlier on in the tournament. Our new number one over here from Joburg Metro. Because of, I think, a berserk situation. Oh no, it was that nice... Roberto was down a piece, I think, when I started watching. This game looks promising for Roberto. Up a pawn. Gonna play bishop b2. And play with this pressure. Keep these tactics alive. This idea is cut off immediately, and Roberto senses there's a pawn hanging in the position, quite correctly so. Bishop takes h6. What does he want to do? Rook takes, okay. And now knight c3 and bring the other rook to f1. And what's his next idea? He can sack, I think. There's a mate. So that needs to be stopped. Now you still want to do something with this knight. You could bring it here if you're very confident about your mating idea here. Could be a line where the king runs up. Just runs the king to the corner so there can be no queen exchanges via e3. Knight d5. Okay. So the knight has got into a good square. And, oh, this might be... King needs to go to g6. I'd be so scared this doesn't work out. But there's going to be a beautiful mate here. Wait, show me the mate, show me the mate, show me the mate. Mate into king g4. h3, king... Where's the mate? Knight takes e2, checkmate. I didn't think the queen was hanging. Okay, that's great. And that's another 5 points over there for the real Frenchie, Mr. Roberto. The Sunnyside Bull, Hans Stein, running in over there. Archie's in pause mode, so he might come back for the last hour. He's not having the greatest tournament at all. I think the 1600 really threw his momentum apart. Berserking over there. Luckily he didn't lose that game. I'm not sure why he left the other game, but he's in a game again, and seems like he's winning. The real Frenchie was, and we are going to see an Evans Gambit. Please get. Oh, both have berserked. And Owat Sambu chess players was playing for them, and the real Frenchie Matt Pond playing for Roberto playing for Joburg Metro. And be careful, don't put your knight on the square. It will be hanging. Very quickly he's got an attack going over here. And this should be tickets after bishop takes h6. Oh my, what to do? Can't take the bishop because of mate. The square is covered by the bishop. And if you want to do anything else, here's a nasty... You can't even do that, that bishop's just hanging. Nasty discovery incoming, which is also mate. So it was going down here in a 12 mover. And you can play this check. If knight takes, simply bishop takes, and that should be mate. No! Is Roberto just missing easy mates? That's mate. Okay, he really wants to punish his opponents. I'd just be so scared I'm blundering my entire initiative away. But a mate in one. Mate in one. Okay. He'll get the win, but he's making his life very tricky over here. When you survive a mate in one, it's like you get some superpower that really makes you want to fight on a little bit longer. King h8, only move. Loses this knight. Wait, there was... Okay, black resigns. By the way, where did black go wrong? Because I just immediately felt off the queen h5. It felt pretty horrible. h3. h6 castles. Knight h4. Here was a move, yeah. This pawn was hanging. Should have taken the pawn. Moving the king here allowed queen h5, which is okay. Queen e8, knight g8. These are all necessary moves because it can apparently still be defended. I said this is game over, but queen e8. Don't forget this resource, putting your queen on the light square. And here was the mate into knight takes g6, and simply bishop takes f8 would have been mate. No, but the game still continued. Okay. Let's get back to his games. He's in another pairing of here against Hellboy, and just out of a Scandinavian, on queen h5. He will still be number one, I guess, with 43 with fire. Narchi started playing. Berserked his first opponent again. And let's jump to Narchi's game against Kenny Willenberg. And these Jobo guys, they've been prepping the Duke of Piano c3, not playing the Evans. And typical Mat pawn, let's bring the knight to this square, where we will move him around a bit more after a while. Yep, that wasn't by will, but it's still a nice move. Nice move. Nighty nice. Wait, when did he become up a piece? Can he sacrifice something again? Yeah, he sacrificed that. Oh, come on, Kenny. He plays too much bullet. Now, losing a piece over there. That's also not a move you want to see. Oh, this is game over. There's no saving this. Kenny can resign here. Losing another piece. I'm not buying the attack over here. Sure, you're getting this. What's the use? I'm guessing there might be a silly line where making a queen, walking into this check, that's fine. You can make another queen as white if you want to. It should still be winning. That check recaptures queen check, king h2. You're fine. We'll go back to that in the end. That was just the fun line. But Kenny's completely lost here. He'll continue playing for a while though. Usually got some things he wants to try before he resigns. Matt would like his queen to come back quickly. He says, do that, I'll just take and play g3. I'm fine. Take on h4, play g3. So Kenny might have to play g3 himself. But after knight takes, queen h6, then the queen can simply fall back. And there's, wow, typical Matt, not going even for the scaredy pants option, saying, look at this, I'm attacking two pieces over here. Let's just quickly look at that. That nice line over here. Bishop b3 check. Okay, so obviously the computer wants to make one more improvement. d5, and then bishop takes d5 check, king h7, and then knight takes h4. Because the computer's got a different line that I had in mind, but I was looking at this, saying this is also completely won. After knight takes f3, simply g takes f3, queen takes. You can put the king wherever, you should be fine. All these squares are knocked off, and look at that. So many extra pieces. Let's get back to the tournament. What is happening with the tournament? Real French is still in the lead. Matt took a break, but Hanstein is also fighting for this first place today. He's in second place at the moment, so he's having a great tournament. That is just a row of fire over there. Matt Bonnet is just in the game, and we'll jump there. I feel like he's on his way back to the top. And wait a minute, another Scandinavian. It's been a day full of Scandinavians. This time black provisionally just sacked the pawn. Type of gambit for a different type of structure. Playing against a player from the Western Cape. And Matt has not castled kingside yet, so it'll be one of those games where he pretends he's black. I'm trying to see what tricks he's got up his sleeve here, but I like black's position. White's king feels approachable if it goes kingside, so you're forcing him to go queenside, and you've got that extra tempo to take that e8, that e file. Was there an alternative here? Not really. Could trade on queens. Matt's also just really great in the endgame, so he won't mind transitioning into the endgame over here, especially since he's gone berserk, only playing with a queen. Maybe he'll make a repetition. This should be the position he tries for more. But after bishop here, you need to be careful not to go queen h4. Plays the queen back, and what has he achieved? Actually, this might have just been a very fancy way to give black that extra tempo he needs. Black just goes bishop e7. Doesn't want the pawn doubled. Maybe Matt was hoping to double the pawn before castling, just using that spare time. We have a queenside castles and a very, very drawish position. Matt has gone berserk. 2 minutes though, and he's already kind of in an endgame. So, oh, that is just a shame. Black dropping a pawn over there after all that hard work, not doubling this pawn. This should still not be over. Is this comp? Is this comp? Oh, someone please tell me you can take that pawn on h2. That would just be music to Black's ears. He does. And someone give the guy the confidence to do so. I should have added, and he did have the confidence. The real Frenchie in a new game over here against Mazinus Hacker. Another Mr. Hacker. So many hackers. And in this game I'm liking this move. Black has really been doing well. Black is now finding this outpost. If white overextends, this knight will jump to the square. And black shouldn't, I think, be pressing too hard in the game. This is Matt's game to try and prove a point in an equal position with less time. He is the one that's going to have to start making the crazy moves. And that includes stuff like c5. Why did you play c5? Isolating this pawn. Do not like it a lot. This is now weakness. Matt just throwing back the bishop, saying he could reroute, and king a2, bishop b3. He'll have a target. Oh, another target. And Matt is now, I want to claim, winning again. What's happening with the Frenchie? He's down a piece again. But wow, look at this position. What is happening over here? I think... Wow, there's quite a lot happening, but can black go for another pawn? That's always the important question in life. Can you take another pawn? Can you even play bishop e5? This bishop's doing a good job of defending over here. And for the time being, the queen is also cut off. So, let's see how we got here. I was expecting another Duke piano c3, d5, and maybe he just didn't defend. Okay, here's where the piece went missing, and actually we reached this position quite quickly. And I don't think Roberto will be saving face in this game. Meanwhile, Matt's queen invaded on the king's side, which feels like the new queen side. After this move, forking these two, and he picked up another pawn. Now he's going to play... What happened here? Now he's going to play with two passed pawns, and should be cruising to victory. And that's such a shame to Cup, who was having a great game against Matt. Keeping it simple. I just didn't like that c5 move. In a position like that, it would have been Matt's duty to try and press more. You've got more time. You've got the increment. Matt's berserked you. Don't try and move as fast as he is. He is faster than all of us. I mean, he did play Bullet the other day. What's his rating? 2464, which is way higher than I think anyone else in this tournament. Queens can be traded. This is obviously what Matt wants. He can start marching these pawns forward. By the way, he was also setting up a nice tactic either way with this check. That would have been the way to go, I guess, with that check. Mate in 2, not going after the queen. That's why king moved to a8. Picking up an... Wait, no, that's just the way to exchange down some material. And black can't really hold on to the bishop. He needs to trade the bishop down 2. And this is kind of hopeless now for black. Is black maybe hoping for rook takes over here? Unfortunately not, there's mate. So expect something like a6 and some defensive move for this pawn. Yeah. Black's setting up a rook takes c3 because of the pin, and there's no longer any mate. That's defended now via a new tactic. Rook takes, queen takes. So the queen's traded, that's no threat anymore. He can back up his rook, try and get the rook behind the pawn. Next to the pawn like this is just quicker. And king here or here, he should be cruising to victory very quickly. He can march the pawn up even more. The king will have the responsibility of babysitting this a6 pawn. And, well, be careful not to stalemate here, Matt. Moving the rook on the over here would have been stalemate. And he will be getting the victory now anytime soon. Rook h8 coming in. What is going on? Not sure what happened in that last game. The real Frenchie, he really went on to win that game. That is craziness. How did he win that game? That's just madness. We left the game around about here. Yeah. Okay, so bishop e5 was one of the moves I was... it's a shame. Okay. And now he didn't defend over here, so... What to do here is black? Not much to do. You need to play knight takes e4. Try for some compensation like that. Okay, so I don't want to say luckiness, but black slightly misplayed over there. Interesting compensation that Roberto was finding, but this really means that Matpon will need to play quite hard to catch up with him. I mean, there's not a lot of time left. He's now playing against Warwick Erlang, berserk to 2200, and Warwick... I mean, over the board, they would never berserk each other. You would never take that those chances. By the way, h4, and today in this game we'll see a classic, classic mat game. Finally, we get the knight coming around and all that fun. The knight coming to the king side. Yeah. Finally, we getting Matt's game we were waiting for. The flank side attack with the two knights. Louis Havenga playing against Mr. Number 1. Mr. Sacrificial. G4, here comes the first sacrifice. And I don't know, what's the idea after bishop takes? I think that's the idea, yeah. But didn't it work before that? No, he needed to get the bishop off of the pin. So now queen takes isn't possible because of knight there. Roberto with some cool ideas over here. Should actually be getting his rating above 2200 soon, I think. And this is really cool. If you look at, he's berserking a guy with the same rating as himself, so... Queen f3, still loads of tactics over there. That'd be a check with discovery. Picking up some material. He will be cruising with this one. Check, and it's a bit of a windmill attack with this knight. Mazanus hacker. Yet again a quick berserk. Warwick Erlang seems to be surviving this so far. We stepped out of this game for a second. I think we were roundabout here when we stepped out. Beautiful knight on d5. And in terms of standings, the real Frenchie now wants 63, but Hans Stein, this guy is not going down. And I think the two of them will get paired against each other now. So, oh no, wait, no, we've got the real Frenchie playing against Mazanus Hacker. Hans Stein really playing, wow, that's just a huge streak of 5 points. I like the Frenchie here. in terms of he's down a pawn, but he's got a passed pawn. So we'll see how he gets to work with that. Meanwhile, in this game, this knight has been traded off as we're watching, and we've got this huge pawn chain over here. Black might have some tactics against this rook in the corner. I think this is what he's considering now. Move a pawn here, move a pawn here. Pick up the rook in the corner. Matt now setting up an attack like this, I guess. He'll go queen f5 or queen e4 or something next. Warwick is saying your queen might be lost on this side of the board. I can run my king here. The rook is being defended. That's just another square and another piece that could okay, sorry, this doesn't, there's no attack here for white. A tricky position. I don't think white has got any advantage really. That is if you could blockade those pawns. Now Matt will be trying to push this one, so I'm not sure about rook c8. So he's going to be trying to push and make something out of these two pawns now. He's blockading these two pawns himself. What? And this guy just brings more pieces to the attack. Let's see if anything like this works. Queen here, king here, and a rook there. Is there... Yeah, you need a rook over here for that to work. So nothing yet. Queen h7 check, king there. I'm sure he's got something mean up his sleeve. Warwick needs to be careful. A rook sack on f7 maybe? Okay. None of that. Einachi though with 6 wins already against the Paradox 1982, so already the favorite in this game. Was it necessary to take this rook? That one was also up for grabs. Now you've allowed the rook to be on the 7th. More coordination and more scarily these two pawns. Oh mate! Ah, that's gotta hurt. That mate in 1 and Warwick is up for adoption over the 7-0. Still, Einachi's not catching these guys. 44-68. Real Frenchie. Sunnyside Bull and Real Frenchie are in a game, and this is the biggest pairing of the tournament so far. A French from the Real Frenchie. Hanstein and Roberto in the game. That's a nice tactic. These guys, both of them, are really aggressive. So their game against each other will just be quite an explosion of weird tactics and ideas. I think Sunnyside Bull was the first one to start out. Frenchie finding himself a nice square. A sack exchange, I didn't even flinch. That's just so normal for their style. If Hans wants to take the lead, he really needs to perform in this game. And it doesn't look like he's doing too well, to be honest. Down the exchange, there's already ideas. I don't know. Queen needed to infiltrate over there, it felt. Queen here and... No. Giving back the exchange, when did that happen? Well, when the king finds safety, which I think it might, because this is Hans playing. Guys had worse positions than this, although this is pretty bad. Queen h4 coming, where does your king go in any case? One square, kick your way over there. Yeah, there's the tactic. This is game over. Roberto looking good to win this tournament, especially because this was also another berserk win. Matt not in a pairing yet. Am I missing something? He's in a pairing. We'll keep to Mr. Frenchique since he's doing so well. Gone berserk against Mr. Trestle, and we see this h4 knight h2 what should we call it, construction, quite early on. The Nachi. I'm going to call it the Nachi construction. You're building a Nachi on the board. Yeah. This was Daniel Caudry, and the queen wasn't close by. Knight takes e6, pawn takes, queen takes, and picking up that knight. But e6 tactics would be in place. But by the way, let's see, how did this happen? So one knight goes to h2, the other knight goes to g5, and then suddenly you've got this knight here again, jumping to the center. Someone should figure out what to do against the Nachi construction. Knight there. The knight now defends on e6 as well. Maybe that was Matt's idea. One big sacrifice. Oh, maybe pawn takes. But then how are you getting your bishop closer? So he needs to take time with this attack. But his position seems fine. Matt's position seems fine. Definitely slightly better. But black's doing okay. The attack I'm not buying immediately. This knight needed to be on the home square of the Nachi. The base. The Nachi's base. The landing pad strip. To get to this square. So now it's going to take a while. You need to move 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. So Matt says, no, let's go for h6 instead. I'll back my queen off, threaten this, now g6, and I can take that pawn. King h7 maybe? Not yet. Meanwhile, what is this rook really doing? Was it even necessary to kick it away? Now your bishop's all the way back here. This. Okay, Matt's bringing this bishop back somehow too. This is a strange game. Very strange game. And I like f3 just for the time being, because the queen is not on a dark square, so it doesn't feel like this diagonal will be doing too much. But we'll see how I feel about the move in a while after the queen does something like this and starts harassing you over here. These two knights, great pieces. Whoop! What? Wait, I wasn't prepared for a sacrifice. King there? You're just gonna make a draw? Oh, he's got this check. Ah, that is so nice. That is so nice. Queen takes h6, and what to do about queen h7? I think f5. You can maybe try and give something back just to stay alive. After this, en passant, queen f7, bishop g6. Ah, this is looking bad. f5, en passant, and rook h7 maybe. No, but bishop g6 here, and this is shattering. Shattering. Am I stuttering? Okay, there's nothing to do here. You can resign. How much material? You've got a minor piece, maybe 2 minor pieces. I don't know, maybe a different player would have decided to continue, maybe play something like knight back, rook takes, I don't know. Still pretty bad. The real Frenchie playing against Chorus again. It still seems, why do I continue going off of everyone's TVs? The real Frenchie, 78, Matt Bond, still on fire as well. 37 minutes to go. Who is going to take this first prize? The real Frenchie's just not going down. playing on fire, and I think this is motivation to Matt to not stop playing. And wait a minute, Matt is in a pairing with Hans Stein, and that is number 2 against number 3, so it's a big game. Matt now in the position of number 2, just overtaking the Sunnyside Bull, and the Sunnyside Bull very disrespectfully has gone berserk. This seems like an Aljekain. What happened? Yep. Matt going for a classic Aljekain line. Anyone looking to do something different in the Aljekain, it can be a pretty weird opening for white. Actually, it throws a lot of players out of prep. It's not your standard opening. As a white player, if you want to play against the Aljekain, I recommend looking at that game on my channel of Watu Kubisi versus Kirill Dimitrov. In that game, Watu after e5, knight d5 plays a bit of a sideline, bishop c4. And I've been playing that a lot against the Aljekain and having loads of fun. Usually the black players on the side of the Aljekain, they expect you to take the center with your pawns, as Matt Pon has done by the way, and he's seemingly quite fine. Although it's not considerably better for him. But the bishop c4 move, it's got a bit of the same feel, so oopsie, what is happening here? Matt Pon's not using any time at all. He's just playing forwards. And Hans lost this pawn, maybe for no reason. Oh no, and a queen blunder. And is Matt gonna see it? He sees it and it's game over. Okay. Real French is still in the lead. Another 5 points from over there against Mr. Chorus. Now playing against Freddy f5. Freddy Oudendal is not an easy game, and the Real Frenchie has gone berserk against him. Maybe regrettably so. This will be an interesting game, actually. The e6 move. Oh, these guys making the position very complicated. Freddy Oudendal against Roberto de Abreu. Roberto giving up the exchange without blinking. This is what he lives for, to give up the exchange. It's a lot like me. I don't like being up the exchange. Give me down the exchange and a fighting game and I'm happy. Meanwhile, wait, is Nachi in a pairing? It's against the Mazinus hacker. And he's not castled yet, so he doesn't mind keeping his king in the center. So White might think he's achieving something, but this is where Matt's king wants to be. He'll defend. He'll be fine. In the meanwhile, Freddy playing up the exchange, loads of extra time on the clock. He's just going to play h3, I guess. a3. What does knight h2 do? Worst case scenario, Freddy can just give back the exchange if his position isn't nice. He's the one that can now give back the exchange. If he can get the exchange and a pawn, which is sometimes the case, here he just picks up a pawn. A very nice find. Roberto doesn't. He's losing another pawn here. This should be the game over. And giving the Nachi a gap to join. How did he... Okay, so he just threw the bishop back after winning a pawn on g2, and now the knight has been fianchettoed. And when the knight is here, be sure it will be an attacking piece for Matt Pon. The h-pawn has given some space to the rook, so the rook is now active as well. We'll go to the G file and start some kind of annoying attack on this king, which is on G1. By the way, is this game still ongoing? No, I don't know why. Freddy should have won this a bit more quickly. Liquidating on this square isn't good. Yeah, Freddy had the opportunity to go after the d6 pawn earlier on. Let's hope he doesn't regret not going for the d6 pawn, trying to play for more over there. Be careful of, I don't know, that's a silly tactic. Doesn't work, but maybe something like that still happens. In the meanwhile, sorry, I'm making myself nauseous with all this jumping around between games. But number 1 and number 2 have been playing very exciting chess. Naji's still up a pawn. Slightly questionable king, but the knight will keep it safe. Liking black's chances over here. But the game didn't pan out as I was expecting it to. It looks way different than I imagined it to look after a while. Black resigned here, so white did liquidate on the e7 square. He kept the tension, made a passed pawn over here, and liquidated over there, picked up this pawn. 2 extra passed pawns. Roberto knows it's game over and lost his fire there, but 83, that's still a while for Matt to catch up with. 83, that is so far away. By the way, Matt is not winning yet. Was there a way to get some back rank? No. Setting up the back rank like this. Maybe white forgets it somehow, that he's getting mated. And also making some kind of pawn move just weakens your position considerably. You'll see knight f5, and the same idea is still, well, you just started with this check, I guess. Oh, but there's always this type of mating net. That's a piece. Will he go for the piece? No, he's going for some kind of mate. Yeah, that should be mate. If the king runs up, you've got queen d3, e3. King goes to the corner, you can pick up the rook. If the king goes here, this should just be like mate. So, yeah, it's mate either way. Okay, so that's a win for the Nachi. Is it coming through on my screen? That's 63, 83, 20 points, half an hour. A 20-point lead on Matt Pond. That is pretty insane. Yeah, that's insane. I haven't seen something like this, but there was a bit of a pause on Matt's side, so that could explain some kind of lead, but not taking away anything from Frenchie's performance so far. Hanstein also has had a good tournament so far. The Frenchie, Matt is in. He finished his game. We just finished it, and Roberto's game is almost done again. The game's going so fast. Playing against Zombie, and okay, scrolling through the moves very quickly. But they've reached an equal endgame, equal rook pawn endgame, where I don't like these kingside pawns. Okay, maybe black is now better. All of these pawns are very isolated, so they're all targets. Rooks f3. How are you defending this pawn again? You're not, that's the answer. So black is going to annoy you inevitably over here. You can pick up this pawn. Try and set up a mating net. Oh, that's a piece, I guess. We got this check as well. And Roberto is losing his fire. This gives Mr. Nachi time to catch up. And although Roberto is losing his fire, that's only for a minute so far. Playing against Fireproof is still going berserk. He feels the confidence of going berserk. The real Frenchie, he won't stop playing. Even when the position looks like this. Rooks can be traded off. This is now resignable. White resigns, and I will see what Roberto gets up to over there. Bishop to the corner, maybe. Not anymore. That square is now covered by the rook. Knight h6, aiming for g5 seems like a clever idea. Yep, so needs to get out of that fork. Don't want to lose this strong piece. Both checkmate threats are covered by this one rook. There's another point of contact with White's position on f2, so the queen's doing a great job attacking this bishop as well. Meanwhile, this knight is slightly out of place, but if you get the move knight b5, queen trades over here. Ooh, this is something Matt would go for, yeah. Especially because it just doubles the pawn, gives him another target. So he converted his one initiative, which was his queen and bishop coordinating, into the advantage of doubled pawns. And that's enough for him. He doesn't need to continue the attack with the king and the bishop. He says, just give me that position where you've got a few weak pawns. My rook can come to the second. I'll take it any day. Bishop b7, I'm guessing. Okay. Bishop e4 contains the knight completely. So this pawn's still hanging. I wonder why going... Okay. He's hunting down the knight. Winning a knight. Matt's style is very neat and tidy. He's not just playing up a full piece after initially just going for an advantage of the double pawns. I wish it was always that simple. But he was never in danger really once in the game. He'll take the c3 pawn with check and then the c5 pawn. And White can resign here. I think White will resign. Okay. We'll see a4 and the rook coming behind the pawn. If rook a3, I think Matt might just play bishop here and do the same thing with his king. It was possible to put the rook behind the pawn, but going king and pawn will be a bit quicker. As the king can help the rook, stop the rook from blockading the pawn. So he's just going to walk this pawn through, and now White resigns. Okay. I'm still on Matt's TV over there. 68-83. Roberto hasn't budged. Matt is still in the chase over there. And there's another big game actually ongoing. The Sunnyside Bull and the Real Frenchie are battling it out. And this time, the Sunnyside Bull he had the white pieces in the previous game and lost with the queen skewer with his king over here. I don't know if you can remember, but this time he seems to be losing in a more slow manner with Roberto picking up pawns. Just be careful this queen doesn't become too active. There should be a chance to perpetual check here, I guess. If not, that square is unfortunately not available. Got this check. There will be a lot of checks before the king finds safety. Usually you don't need to calculate all the checks, you just need to find... Well, you can't walk past this point because of queen d6. The king needs to go back then. So this could be a way to try and perpetual check. King needs to go here and you can take this pawn. And king needs to hang around and you can make a draw. Although, after king moves here, you can go... Oh no, you can't trade down over there. Very tricky, but this is a draw. That is important to remember. When the king goes to f4, you need to insert this check. So that the king needs to go back to this square. White offers draw, and this time around they've made a draw. Roberto, Matt pawn against a Natalie card pawn. Has gone for a very famous line of his, already picking up a piece. D3 and E4 with just the kingside castle. Very plain and simple. And it's reminiscent of black going E5, D6. And playing up a piece, he should be running away with this game. He hasn't gone berserk. He might be regretting it, but he's still on a solid chase. Roberto only managing 1 point over there for the draw. Let's see what's happening in his game now. Nothing yet. And how's it going with Hans Stein on 56 over there? Also not seeing anything too drastic yet. By the way, look at this. Freddie Werdendahl has had a great tournament so far. No one beating him. Only draws, and these draws have been holding him back really. Players like Roberto have just been berserking, and he's got 24 games in. Freddie, for instance, player 100 points higher rated than him on the lead chess system, but they both play same strength. He's only played 13 games, so there's a 10 game difference, and I think those 10 games have all been berserk wins. So anyways, wait, this game's already over. The car pawn resigned after losing another pawn. Okay, that makes sense. If you miss the car pawn, you need pawns. 20 minutes to go. Real Frenchie still in the lead. Einachi on fire, on his heels. He will be catching up, I guess. 20 minutes to go. Western Cape, dominant performance so far. 487, 100 points gap. And Sari Bartman on Joburg Metro's tail. 20 minutes to go. We'll zoom in after another 10 minutes and just focus on those standings. For the time being, I think Einachi should be our focal point. Playing against Agent Sonic. Got these reversed pawns on the board. This is the type of structure you want as black when you're playing against the computer. Just want a closed position. But black should be very fine over here. The knight can also go to f5 later. Why this knight? Let's use this knight. And good night, sir. You need to do something about this bishop. Okay. So I was thinking that's maybe the idea. But Matt Pond says, give me the g file. There's a weak pawn back there. The king is safe in the center. He's expecting this guy to maybe castle kingside. So rook g8, going after that pawn, and if the pawn moves to defend itself, you can just see the attack starting. All the pieces, black's coming to the party because of this one focal point on g2. Bishop takes h3. I think we will see it immediately after 2 seconds of immediate thinking. No, I don't know. Bishop takes h3. This b7 pawn was hanging. You've got rook b8. Compensation against that pawn. So I'm not too sure. He says he'll come back for it, and he will be able to. There will be a tempo when the knight moves back, and we'll see bishop takes h3. Not yet. Is there a tactic here with rook h1? No. Bishop takes h3 no longer viable. How did this bishop get here? I hate looking away for a second. The king allowed it in. And now white's getting crushed. Rook to the second. Queen and rook doubling up on the second. This knight might need to stay there for life. Does he want the queen in front of the rook for mating ideas? There might still be a bit of work to be done here for Matt Pond. The position's still very closed. So, oh, here's the idea. He just wants to run the pawn up the board. As simple as that. There's nothing happening on this side of the board. Everything's just shut down. So, what does he have over here? He's got this one pawn. He'll run it up. Actually, there's nothing happening on this little mini board over here, and I'll highlight it with arrows. Everything you see over here you can just ignore. Just focus. Well, why aren't they ignoring it? Just focus on this side of here. So I'll do this little annoying thing for a little while, because not expecting much to change on, well, the F file to the A file. There's a piece dropping on the F file. Still an extra pawn. And I'm putting my money on that the game will be over without black having to move anything else than these three pieces. And black's not completely, white's lost now, mainly because okay, he didn't have pieces on this side of the board. These two files, and these tournaments are long. 2 hours are long. Keeping great ideas, these players, for so long. Matpon with another 5-point victory, 77-84, 7 points behind. That's a berserk win and a half to catch up. But the real Frenchie, what's he up to? Sir Kati, he's berserked and setting up a mate in one. And Nachi's playing against Warwick Erlang, and they've both gone berserk. We see the nice e4 d3 opening prep by Matt. Heal castle, play h4, h4 now. Oh, come on, h4. Yay! Knight f2 soon. And it sounds great. Knight f2, knight f1. Ah, it doesn't rhyme anymore. Knight f1, and Warwick prepares for knight f1 with bishop e6. I'd actually just trade off this knight, this bishop for the knight very quickly, because I know Matt just wants to put this knight on h2 as soon as possible, and that's his main goal in life, getting the Nachi structure. So quickly trade off that bishop for that knight and you'll be fine. Oh no, you're wasting a tempo. This knight is coming to h2 after Matt gets in and oh, what? Is this some kind of different Nachi structure? What does the knight communicates with the same square? I think that's always Matt's point. You forget about the g4 square when his knight's on h2. But over here, that does it. Okay, so g4, he could have gone knight h2. He's just toying with us. Knight h2 was his. This is just a variation of the Nachi. That's a pawn. Where's the compensation for the pawn? Play against f7. Isn't that how he won the last game with queen h7 mate? But there's another pawn going down. Warwick playing. Oh, he can go trade to. Warwick is winning. It's because Matt Pawn didn't set up the proper Nachi. He set up a counterfeit product full of GMOs, and now he's going down. Definitely no hope for him here. Ooh, seems close to some tactic. Rook takes knight check. This rook is just on the right square. I'd keep the rook down here though for the tactics. Just seems close by. And rook b2, some kind of rook b2 knight check here. You'll pick up the bishop. I think this is what Warwick should be considering. Not retreating. Oh well, there's an attack on f7. Wait, I am also missing some information here. But what is the story with the rook b2? You could allow a white to attack. I just don't like changing the style of my game to suit what my opponent wants to be doing. If he wants to start attacking, you should start attacking. Going all defensive. Still don't know how Matt's going to deal with this. This might be his actual first loss and not just a disconnect. 12 minutes left of the tournament. It does become quite long. The commentary does become a bit more manic towards the end. But even Matt feels the duration of the tournament with his first loss that seems to be income. Ooh! Warwick didn't. No! He had this check. Warwick just blundered a piece, and Matpon might not be going down anymore. Warwick is still on roll for adoption. Matpon knows he can win. He just went for a pawn. That was not a good... well, no blunders are good, but that was one of the worst sides of a blunder. Oopsie. Matt also blunders? Ugh. Ooh! He calculated all of that. What? No. I want to go back and see what just happened over there. What was that? Warwick just completely blundered the game, but it seemed like Matt blundered it back in the end. But it wasn't a blunder, it was deeply calculated. So it was around about this point where Warwick changed his game plan to throwing his rook all the way back. Though the computer does suggest rook b7, I don't know what's completely wrong with this. Okay. So the bishop can take on c4. But anything like this would have been losing after knight e3 check, picking up this piece as well. In any case, what happened was, round about here, Warwick pushed this pawn. Something like knight d2 would have been winning. And e3 check was also a possibility for him. King f1 isn't possible because of this, and at least you get your material back. But then Warwick played d2, but this was blundered back again. Matt did blunder bishop a6. It's just an up and down game, but I'm mostly concerned with this last position over here. Matt Pawn played king e2, walking into this check, taking this pawn. Oh, I think he just knew the pawn's defended. Warwick forgot the pawn was defended. I thought I was missing something great. In any case, let's get back to the tournament. Used a bit of time over there. 10 minutes to go. Wait, we're reaching the end of the tournament. And not just a race there between Western Cape. Well, Western Cape's in the lead. 420 for Steady Bang. Oh, sorry, Bartman. That's how you want to end. And there's a bit of a chase over here between Roberto and Mr. Nachi. It's a battle between Bartman and Joburg Metro, but my money's on Joburg because both their number 1 and 2 will be getting in a few points towards the end of here, and I think that should make the decisive difference. And Joburg Metro has never done this well before. Well done to their 2 top players for representing them. Sunnyside Bulls still in 3rd place. Hans Stein also has had a great tournament so far. Let me see if I can add some info to the screen. There we can at least see 3rd place. The game happening in the corner is the real Frenchie. With the white pieces, can he stop that other pawn from marching through? By the way, Matt Pawn with a quick win over there, 5. He's now in 1st place with 8 minutes to go. He's caught up. The real Frenchie should be getting this game as well, which would be 3 points for him. He will be taking the lead in 2 or 3 seconds. And he did get the win in. I think Black resigned, or did the time go out? I don't know. What's happening over there? What? He got 0 for this last game? Wait, I think I'm... The real Frenchie was white? No, Cool's MC was white. I was looking at it from the wrong angle. And the real Frenchie did go down, so he did not get the 5 points over here. In any case, 7.5 minutes to go. Matt Pon will be taking this 1st place. Unless there's some dramatic action there from the Frenchie's side. 87 with 5. He can get this win in. And the win should be getting him The game's a bit stretched. Just do it like that. The win, 7 minutes, 2, and he might be getting this win in. There's enough time for him to do so. Let's just stay focused on this screen. And 424, 427. Sorry Bodman District really fighting for that second place. Mr. Chorus over there helping them with that first place, 40 points. 5th place overall in the tournament. A Nachi. With the one rook pawn endgame, his upper pawn, it's a passed pawn. He can trade down that rook and his 2 rooks and he'll still be winning. He knows that. He's going to run the king to behind the pawn. Start pushing his other passed pawn. His newly made passed pawn. We could be getting a resigner soon from Mr. Cools, the MC. Mat pawn might be slight. Okay, that's the idea. You don't really want to give your opponent any hope in these types of positions. And he can actually just go rook takes d5 now, check. Liquidate all of that material. No, you can't, sorry. That would be a huge blunder. He'll get behind his passed pawn. This is a draw. Has he misplayed this? The real Frenchie with the 90 points over there. And we're jumping to his game. I don't know if Matt's going to win that game. Sorry Bartman, still with that 4-point difference. 5 minutes to go. The real Frenchie now in first place again. With a quick berserk win over there. Einachi, was this his last game he's playing? No. Wait, did it end up a draw? Yeah, he drew this game to get in some points, but he's not going to get the first place now. 4 minutes to go. A normal game won't take that long. Even if both sides berserk, it shouldn't end. Unless he sneaky makes a draw offer. I'm expecting that should be the end. The real Frenchie, 90 points over there. We're watching his game. Mr. Carpawn and Nachi are in a game. 2.5 minutes. Nachi can finish this game if he doesn't use a lot of his own time. He needs to shave 30 seconds off his own clock to try and more, I think. He's capable though. The real Frenchie as well. Down a piece. He's not playing for a win over here. His opponent won't be taking a draw. Unless there's some back rank thing happening, I don't expect the Frenchie to be getting in another 3 points. So it's really between these two. Matt Ponch with the higher chance there of getting 3 points, although the position is still equal. He's luckily not worse. So let's see if he gets 3 points and for that berserk and the real Frenchie makes a draw, that should be like I think at this stage it should be 1 point. Then Matt Pon will win with only 1 point. He'll have 1 point more. He'll have 92. The real Frenchie 91. What a great battle it has been between these two so far. And let's just see what the real Frenchie's up to. He's still going down, but it looks like he could maybe trap that knight. No, that knight has found a square, and that is why that pawn was sliding down the board. The real Frenchie with a passed pawn of his own. Be careful now, white. You don't want unnecessary drama there. Just get behind the pawn. Yeah, white has made some problems for himself. And what's that knight doing now? Ah, there you go. White should be getting this game. He's made a passed pawn of his own. And there should be another check, and that pawn should run. Run. Run pawn and keep your own rook behind black's pawn. Maybe not the greatest of squares. You can throw it all the way up. There you go. And you need to run your own pass pawn now. And take black's pawn. There you go. The real Frenchie going down. Enachi. What's happening with Enachi, by the way? That's just... He's still playing against Mr. Car pawn. Position's still equal. Enachi can still get this game in if he uses less than 48 seconds. Oh, this is tough. This is tough. What is going to happen? The real Frenchie... Did he resign? Is he trying to get another pairing in? He resigned. I think the tournament pairings are closed. He is stuck on 90. Enachi only needs 1 point to catch up and take this tournament. Meanwhile, Western Cape on 592. Sari Bartman has seemed to secure a bit of their standing over there. 6 points. They're keeping that distance, so I doubt it will be overtaken soon. The big question here is, will Enachi be able to take first place? Slim ending here. He's up a pawn finally. He needs to get this in within a minute. He knows it, of the tournament clock. This will be 3 points, and he should win the tournament with 2 points then. Be careful not to blunder anything over here. Check and take that pawn on the edge. And this should be a pre-movable win for him. 46 seconds to go. 89. 90 first place. Roberto's not in a pairing. Tournament pairings are over. They should actually be showing us Enachi's game over here. And Sunnyside Bull on 62. Not close enough to catch up over there. 26 seconds. This time Western Cape only on 601 points. And is Enachi getting in that win? 19 seconds to go. He needs to move more quickly than this. 13 seconds. Oh no, given back a pawn. 11, 10. His opponent's only got 2 seconds. I will just be pre-moving the hell out of the position right now. 2. Whoa. Did that count for the tournament? Let's see. It counted for the tournament. 2 seconds to go. Roberto was also in in the spectator room trying to see if Matpan will get that win in with the tournament clock still going. 92 over there. Barely beating his teammate, but what a great performance from Roberto. We haven't seen anyone playing on Enachi's level except for the Mercenary Grandmaster played in the Bullet version of this tournament. But really, thanks to everyone that helps make this tournament happen. Look at all the players that are playing to make this event so exciting. Thanks for the strong players as well for competing and making the tournament interesting and giving people a chance to play against some strong players. Western Cape, well done, 601 points. Always with a solid performance. Mandota playing their most points over there. Paradox 1982 we saw a few times, but only getting 8th place in the Western Cape in total. And then well done to Joburg Metro with their 92 and 91st performances. Schwarztier, the mysterious player, I'm still not sure who he is, but also there. 45. What? They also came past Sari Bartman district over there in the end with 4 points. Some huge wins over there from Joburg Metro to get their first ever second place. Well done to the other teams that participate in SPD. Tambu Gauteng North with Hanstein over there with an impeccable 3rd place, and Sedi Beng and Oeverberg. Thanks to everyone that made this tournament happen, and I'll be back for some more chess soon. Thanks for watching.